America first and the future of trade. President Trump makes his first trade deal with South Korea. As part of the deal, South Korea will stick to a quota of steel exports to the United States. In return, South Korea will be exempt from tariffs. This comes as the U.S. and the Chinese are negotiating. Joining me right now is Commerce Secretary Wilbur Ross. Good to see you, sir. Thanks so much for joining us.
Good to be on, Maria.
Yeah, so let's talk about the South Korea deal. Why was this important?
I think it was important for several reasons. The agriculture community had concerns that we might disrupt their relationships with South Korea. Other parts of the business community had other worries, and some people thought it meant that we might be forsaking them in a time of war. Well, none of that happened. None of that is true. The real key is it's a peaceful deal. It's a negotiated deal. It works for both sides. It accomplishes our purpose about reducing the steel and aluminum exports to us. 30% is a big reduction.
Yeah.
And it's about what we would have accomplished with the tariffs had the tariffs instead gone on.
So is this a template for what we should expect for other countries in terms of having this quota of products coming in?
Well, each country is in a little bit of a different situation. I think the real template is we're ending up with reasonable negotiated deals, not warfare. We're prepared to go and do as extreme an action as is needed, but hopefully people will be logical and we'll have negotiated deals.
And most people understood what you were doing with China because
Right.
China is stealing our intellectual property and they are transferring technology from America to China, making it very difficult for American companies to really gain a true foothold in China. How long has the U.S. and China been negotiating in terms of getting better deals together?
Well, you could say forever, but for this administration,
most recent.
it's quite recent. And the importance of it is this. Things like steel, aluminum, and autos, that's today. Intellectual property rights, that's our future. So we need to deal with both. We need to protect today's businesses, and we need to deal with the future.
Yeah, in fact, we have a chart here from Mercator Institute, which shows what China is trying to do and highlighting, looking at growing its market share, surpassing the United States through innovation. Here's that chart. Whether it be new energy vehicles or high-tech ship components, new and renewable energy equipment, industrial robots, high-performance medical devices. These are all the industries of tomorrow.
Exactly.
That China is transferring technology to China to try to beat us at our own game.
Well, that is absolutely the case. And if they do it fair and square, well, that's a reasonable thing. Our objection is to illegitimate, inappropriate processes.
Well, let me ask you about the difference between what the president talked about, slapping tariffs on $60 billion, upwards of $60 billion in imports, versus what China said, and they're going to do tariffs on $3 billion in products.
Well, I think China knows they don't want to have a trade war with us. So I think it's a very moderated response, probably an appropriate response from their point of view. What they've done with the $3 billion is they've targeted politically sensitive targets.
You know, it's not just the economic part of it, but it's also the national security part of it, right? Because another thing that China is doing is buying infrastructure in countries all over the world to try to get a foothold at their sea level, and then they're setting up military bases there. Is that right?
Well, that's right. And that's going on in many, many countries all around the world. That's not a problem that we're dealing with the intellectual property rights. It's very focused on forced technology transfers, forced partnerships, cybersecurity, that kind of activity that impinges on our intellectual property.
So there are 10 industries, at least, in China that are deemed off limits to foreigners, like defense, like financial services, that even if you are in financial services, you can't own more than 49% of a joint venture. Is that what you'd like to see here in the U.S.? Are you going to put 10 industries off limits?
Well, you'll see when we announce it. It's not my practice to get ahead of the president and what he announces. There will be limitations on foreign investment. As you know, CFIUS, which is the entity that regulates foreign investment, has new legislation pending both in the House and in the Senate. So that will be part of it, and then some other action by the president will be the other part of it.
What do you mean, action by the president?
Well, he's going to be making some announcements about it.
I understand. Okay.